some folks that are watching, they might be very familiar. Again, just to clarify, with USPSA and IDPA, and we'll elaborate on those, practical pistol shooting to me is run and gun, right? So it's dynamic. There's a series of targets on each stage. Shot timer goes off. You pew 2 rounds in each cardboard. And on your very last shot, the shot timer records a time. Mm-hmm. Your points then get scored. And the total points that you have, at least in USPSA, get divided by time. And that's your score. But without diving too deep into the scoring, I mean, yeah, you said it. My big thing with competitions are, yes, when you're first starting out or when you're tuning up, you go to a place like the Firing Pin and you do your static drills, you build your marksmanship with no variables. But at the end of the day, when you're practicing reloads on the move, shooting on the move, all the dynamic sides, even if you only do a competition, maybe once or twice a year, it's an awesome form of training. Mm-hmm. So
it definitely, like you, a lot of people brush it off until, and I'm one of those, until it's your turn and everyone's watching you and that timer goes off, right? Like 100%. That. I mean, it's nothing like being in a gunfight or being in an actual self-defense situation.
Yep.
But it's a lot more nerve-wracking than just going to the range, even just shooting with your buddies.
Yep.
It's a lot more nerve-wracking when that timer goes off. Like, it's the world changes almost a little bit.
Time to
like,
perform.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I think, like, to sum that one up, every competition might not be a gunfight, but every gunfight is absolutely a competition, right? And that's a quote. That's a paraphrase from Masad Ayub. He's been around forever. He's old school, but even a guy like him realizes the benefit of practical pistol shooting. And that's just that. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm pretty good. I go to the Firing Pin or I go to a place, I'm pretty good in my backyard. But to go and test yourself, and more specifically, to go and fail, right? Fail in training. See where your shortcomings are, maybe against your peers or your fellow competitors. Maybe you have an ammo malfunction. Maybe you botch a reload. Or maybe you find, hey, I'm not as good shooting on the move as I might think. But the beautiful thing with competitions is they give you that arena to go and practice safely and then get the feedback from the community of competitive shooters. And like, kind of dovetailing off of that, kind of how I got into this. I mean, the short of it is I got my pistol permit in 2017. I knew that I wanted to become proficient. I took carrying very seriously. So I did some classes with local trainers, and then I got a membership at the Firing Pin. You know, you guys were, you know, friendly faces, welcoming. I did the winter, got my standard marksmanship drill set. Josh Hawkins, during his time here, shout out to Josh, was a friendly face. Hi. Hey, Josh. But I knew I wanted more. And then long story short, for me, I was hopping around on the Instagram, and a friend of mine had posted a USPSA video. And I was like, holy shit, what is this?
My life needed it.
I need this in my life.
Nice.
That prompted me to hop on practicescore.com, which we'll talk about. And I found, wow, look at all these matches in the area. Genesee Conservation League in Penfield, Ontario Rod and Gun out east, Rochester Brooks in Rush, New York. And make a long story short, I did my first match in 2019 at GCL for an indoor match, and I absolutely fell in love. I mean, I had a Glock 17. I was pulling mags out of my pocket, total Joey. But everybody there was super cool. And like, from the people that were, you know, just starting out C or D class to the people that were A class or master level shooters, the community was awesome. And then fast forward 4 years later, I basically went down the rabbit hole, and through a lot of hard work and effort, I've been able to do pretty good. So part of the reason I wanted to come on today is like, hey, let's promote the action pistol shooting in our area. And then let's encourage us as regular gun owners to elevate our skills. And that can come through dry fire, live fire, and the same things that you would use to practice for a competition, you can absolutely do in the comfort of your own home, particularly with dry fire.
I also enjoy how competition also validates the Second Amendment in a way. There's like the whole defensive aspect and the heart of the Second Amendment, but competition really wasn't the intention of the founding fathers, but it's definitely like giving it new breath, new reason to keep it around.
It's probably the most publicly like socially acceptable reason to be, you know.
That's kind of what I was trying to say.
If you go to like, why do we need the Second Amendment? And you start talking about like, well, yeah, it's so that we can overthrow a tyrannical government, like if need be. And that is the pure purpose of it. Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, does your flag have a gold fringe on it or not? Like, that's the level you start sounding like, which they should not, right? No gold fringe, right? So yeah, I think, like you said, competitive shooting, it is a great way that it's very okay to do.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And to me, like, we need to normalize regular people, regular civilians, exercising their natural right to armed defense and exercising their ability to get better and proficient with their weapon. It does not have to be gate kept by LE or military. Nothing wrong with those schools of thought. And to be frank, one of the fun things, and I'll share, the humility of going to a USPSA match. There are a lot of people, particularly men, that might think like automatically I'm good with guns. And then you go to a USPSA match and Karen, who works in accounting, just absolutely ran train on your score. And it's like, holy crap, there's regular people that can go shoot fast and accurately.
Right.
And it's awesome. And it's great to see.
And I mean, there's a lot of people that have really only had experience on a static range. They go, they shoot their bullseye groups, and they can get a nice tight group, which is important.
Sure.
But then it's like, okay, now we're going to more, like you said, a practical side of shooting, and it kind of, the wheels fall off the bus and they can't do anything.
And that's exactly it. Like, there's nothing wrong with, we all need to get our fundamentals honed, right? You got to figure out your basis of like, can I pew the round and make it go where I'm aiming? Yes. Check the box. Now, how do I get better? And absolutely, like when you're shooting any of these action pistol competitions, there's a degree of pressure that is inherent. And, I don't think it's like even a decade ago where there was this rift online between the tactical community and quote unquote the gamers. I think nowadays, at least in my experience consuming content on YouTube and Instagram, the Venn diagram has overlapped a lot and now it's become more acceptable. Because furthermore, like, okay, so yeah, cardboard doesn't shoot back. Got it. Yes, you know where your targets are. So is there a degree of choreography? Sure. At the same time, it's like, okay, put up or shut up. How fast can you address all these targets under pressure, speed up and get your hits, and do so calmly with one run to do it? And it's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited talking about it.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it right now.
There's mindsets of it too, where, okay, I when I go to a match like that, in my head, I know I'm not going to even think about the leaderboard or any of that kind of stuff. I just want to personally improve. I want to, if this is my first time, I want to know, can I get my gun out of the holster? Can I do this without tripping and DQing?
100%, dude.
I mean, I'm sure you have. Have you been DQ'd?
Knock on wood. I have not.
Look at that. I mean, it happens though. I mean, it's not something that you should be like
not
terrified of, but it's like that's kind of the low bar of like, can I safely do this match? And okay. And then what did I learn? Where can I go from there? And I'm one of those. I know I'm not the kind where I like game every, like, okay, I'm going to step up with my left foot and then I have to do this and this and this to shave off a quarter of a second so that I can win. That's not my goal. When I do these things, it can be your goal, or if that's your goal, that's cool too. But I think as long as you approach those with, okay, here's what my objective is, you're gonna have fun.
100%.
Right.
And I'm glad you said that, because not everybody listening to this podcast, not everybody that's gonna go and do a match is gonna get hooked and go down the full, competitive shooter shtick. I'm proud to say that I've been privileged to train in this area, and I'll talk about several names that, have a high level of mastery and are very competitive, not only on a regional circuit, but a national circuit. On the flip side, I personally have been fortunate to get 7 new friends into shooting this year that are all CCW guys, and they got into competitions as a means to get better.
Nice.
And furthermore, that's what it should be about. Yes, you are competing. Yes, there is last place, first place, and all that. But to me, and how I've always approached it is like, okay, how can I be better? All right, I made a mistake. I dropped the mag on the ground. I, almost broke the 180 or this and that. But it's all a place for learning. And I think kind of on that point, perhaps in the past, law enforcement, military, or even people that might have a big ego, I think there's a crowd that's evaded competitions because they don't want to get embarrassed by the lady in accounting or the guy who's an IT professional or whatever. But that's where we got to embrace it. And we're going to talk about a number of things with competition, but like, I think one of my disclaimers right off the gate is like, listen, go and compete, embrace the failure, and have fun. Be kind to yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we're training to be more proficient. Should we need to employ lethal force with an imminent threat? And also digressing from that, it's just fun. It's fun to do these matches, and it's fun to see your own personal improvements.